Good morning, everyone. My name is Zuhdi Mubarok from Computerized Accounting 3B State Polytechnic of Semarang. Here is my presentation. In this opportunity, I would like to present to you about the evaluation of information technology governance at Sultan Agung Islamic Hospital using COBIT 4.1. In this presentation, I will explain to you about the evaluation of information technology governance at Sultan Agung Islamic Hospital using COBIT 4.1. And I will divide it into 5 sections. The first one is introduction. The second one is about the data review. The third one is about the research method. The fourth one is findings and discussion. And the last is the conclusion and recommendation. Section 1. Introduction. Well, in this slide is about the background of the research. There are 4 categories. The first one is information technology governance, called IT governance. IT governance is very important for a company in running its business because IT governance allows the company in taking all benefits of the information resulted by the information technology use and maximizing the benefit of the use of information technology. So company can get business opportunity and competitive advantage. The second one is about Sultan Agung Islamic Hospital. Sultan Agung Islamic Hospital is an organization that provides health service owned and managed by Sultan Agung Charitable Foundation in Semarang City. The third one is about SIMRS. SIMRS is an information system which contains some modules used in supporting the activities in the hospital. The implementation of SIMRS in Sultan Agung Islamic Hospital has been running since 2016. The fourth one is from 1 to 3, the goals is to get good IT governance. Due to the information technology, the importance of IT is for service and hospital operational activities. So the hospital should have good IT governance. One of the tools that can be used for measuring IT governance is COBIT framework. Well, in this slide is about the research problem. Based on the background, the research problem in this research is how the maturity level of information technology governance at Sultan Agung Islamic Hospital based on COBIT 4.1 framework. Well, in this slide is about the purpose of the research. Based on the problem explained before, the purpose of this research is to analyze the maturity level of IT governance at Sultan Agung Islamic Hospital. We should form the maturity level based on the 3 domains on COBIT 4.1 that include plan and organize PO, acquire and implement AI, and deliver and support TS. Section 2. Literature Review. Well, in this slide is about the literature review of the evaluation. What about the evaluation? Evaluation related to information technology governance in COBIT framework is often called as IT assurance. The evaluation in governance is meant for determining and reporting the similarity level between the condition of information technology and business goals. Well, in this slide is about literature review of IT governance. IT governance is structure and process of information technology decision making in corporate level of realizing the behavior wanted by the organization for the use of information technology and ensure the success of information technology in order to create value for stakeholders. IT governance is very important. and it needs to be considered in the terms of its management because governance is one of the aspects that support the organization in achieving its goals. According to ITGI 2007, IT governance has five focus areas. They are strategic alignment, value delivery, risk management, resource management, and performance measurement. Okay, next I will show you about COBIT 4.1 framework. COBIT, Control Objective for Information and Related Technology, is a collection of documentation of best practice for information technology governance in the form of tools for controlling information technology and related risks that can help the evaluators, users, and management to bridge the gap between business risks, control needs, and technical issues related to information technology. The purpose of COBIT is to assist the management in understanding and managing the risks related to information technology by providing clear policies and good practice in information technology governance. COBIT sets standards for evaluating information technology resources with certain characteristics such as effectiveness, efficiency, confidentiality, integrity, availability, compliance, and reliability. Basically, COBIT framework consists of three levels of control objective. They are activities and tasks, process and domains. Overall, the concept of COBIT can be illustrated as three-dimensional groups consisting of business requirements, IT research, and IT process. Next, I will show you about theoretical framework. This is start from information technology to information technology governance to information technology governance in Sultan Agung Islamic Hospital, and the next about evaluation of IT governance with COBIT 4.1 framework. COBIT consists of 34 high-level control objectives, which reflect IT process and consist for domains. They are plan on organize PO, acquire and implement AI, deliver and support DS, and monitor and evaluate ME. Section 3. Research Method. Well, in this slide is about the research method. This research is evaluative research with a mixed research method that combines quantitative data and qualitative data. The object of the research in this study is the governance of information technology at Sultan Agung Islamic Hospital. The analysis unit in this research has been determined based on the RASI diagram provided by COBIT 4.1. In this research, the RASI diagram used in RASI in PO8 AI for TS3, TS8, and TS10 subdomain. Next, I will show you about research method. The phase of this research is began from problem identification by doing interview with IT department and other department related to the IT. The next phase is by doing literature study for looking the framework appropriate with the problems of this research. The next phase is data management by studying and analyzing the document of Sultan Agung Islamic Hospital, COBIT 4.1 framework, and some theories related to the IT governance evaluation. This research uses two kinds of data. They are primary and secondary data. The methods of collecting data used in this research are interview, questionnaire, and documentation. The data result from interview, questionnaire, and documentation will be used for analyzing the IT governance in the hospital. The following steps of data analysis are business goal identification, IT goal identification, IT process identification, control objective identification, and maturity level identification. Section 4. Findings and discussions. Okay, in this slide, I will show you about business goal identification. As an institution, Sultan Agung Islamic Hospital has a goal such as in the figure. Based on the goal, It can be known that hospital's goal is for realizing a healthy and prosperous society by Allah, customer-oriented. So the business goal in COBIT 4.1 that is in line with the hospital goals is customer perspective, especially on improved customer orientation and services. Well, the next step is identifying the IT goal based on the determined business goal. The identification is done by doing a mapping in the business goal with the IT goal in COBIT 4.1 in order to know what kind of the IT goal that can support the hospital's business goals. Based on the table, it can be known that IT goals at Sultan Agung Islamic Hospital is number 3, ensure satisfaction of end users with service offering and service levels. At number 23, make sure that IT services are available as required. Okay, in this slide, I will show you about IT process identification. After identifying the business goals and IT goal, the next step is identifying IT process based on the IT goals that have been determined. The identification is done by using the IT process table provided by COBIT 4.1. In this research, the IT process that can be used based on the IT goals can be seen on the table. Well, the next step is about control objective identification. Each IT process in COBIT 4.1 has detailed control objective that become control tool for the IT process. The control objective with the problems in this research are control objective in POA, AI4, TS8, and TS10. As for the problem about IT procedural documentation is related to AI4, operation and use, while the problem about recording some transactions manually is related to PO8, managed quality. Reported incident is related to TS8, managed service tests and incidents. And documentation for IT problem is related to TS10, managed problems. Well, in this slide, I will show you about maturity level identification. The maturity level of hospitals' IT governance is determined based on the questionnaire supported by interview and documentation. In this questionnaire, there are four choices include not at all, a light, quite a lot, and completely. Each answer choice is given a compliance with each compliance will be added up and normalized and analyzed by doing comparison between questionnaire assessment result score and maturity level model in COBIT 4.1 as can be seen on the figure. After the answer choice has been given compliance, the next step is assessing the maturity level. After the compliance level for very obtained, the next step is doing compliance normalization. The last step is calculating the contribution score for each level and then add up score up. The score, the summary, will be maturity level score can be seen on the table. Based on the calculation and analysis of the four IT processes above, it can be seen that PO8 IT process is at maturity level 3 defined, while AI4, TS8, and TS10 IT process are maturity level 2 repeatable but intuitive. Section 5 Conclusions and Recommendations. Well, in this session is the conclusion. And the conclusion for my presentation this time are PO8 managed quality is on level 3 defined. This indicates that the hospital has implemented system development lifecycle in its information system development. AI4 enable operation and use is on level 2, repeatable but intuitive. This shows that the process of making operational procedures and documentation as well as training and materials does not use a specific approach or method. TS8 when the surface test and incidence is on level 2, repeatable but intuitive. This shows that management awareness of the needs for surface test function already exists. There is no formal training and communication on standard procedures in solving IT problems. The S10 managed problem is on level 2, repeatable but intuitive. This indicates that there is management of problems related to business and IT units. In terms of documentation of IT problems, the IT department does not make notes and reports on every IT problems that occurs, only big problems and sometimes notes and reported. Well, in this last session is the recommendation. And the recommendation from my presentation this time are create operational procedures for every IT operational activity so that this procedure can be used as a guideline for operating IT properly. Establish technical support procedures and conduct formal training for IT service desk functions. Recording and documenting IT problems that occurred so that the same problem does not happen again and minimize any new problems. Conduct IT quality assessment to determine user satisfaction with IT performance so that IT department can continue to improve their works. That's all my presentation about the evaluation of information technology governance at Sultan Agung Islamic Hospital using COBIT 4.1. I hope it will be useful for you and you can understand more about this. Thank you for your attention. Good morning. Always use mask and stay healthy.